Class is in session. MLB hitting the book show Friday, May 23rd. Ian Cameron and Connor Mack should be along momentarily as well. We're ready for this Friday MLB card. We've got a full slate of action on tap tonight. Looking forward to it. And next week, I think we're going to not have a show on Monday because it's Memorial Day. So I think we're going to take Monday off next week. But other than that, we will have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. The normal days we will have an MLB show next week. Just Monday for the Memorial Day holiday, because I think most of the games on Memorial Day are early afternoon anyway. So it'll probably just be Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday shows next week. But we will be there for you for those 3 days. All right, let's get into Friday night. We will begin with Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. We've got Freddie Peralta and Paul Skeens on the mound here. Should be a really good pitching matchup. We've got Pittsburgh minus 125, home favorites, 7 the total here in this game. I'd certainly lean to a low-scoring game here between the Brewers and the Pirates. Both of these pitchers are very capable, and I can't say these offenses aren't always capable. And that's why I think the pitchers probably are going to have a good run of it here in this matchup. So first 5 full game under. I dabbled slightly in both. Small bets because you're not getting a bargain by any stretch with this total being at 7, but I think there is a decent chance we see runs at a premium here tonight between these two teams. Cubs and Reds, we've got Matt Boyd and Hunter Green, the pitching matchup here. Even money here, both sides, and the total sitting at 8.5 across the board. The Cubs obviously have the much better lineup. There's no question when you look at where these two teams are at right now. But I like Hunter Green quite a bit. So it's going to be an interesting contrast here. 2.4 ERA for Green. He's given up just 1 run in his last 2 starts combined. 18 strikeouts for Green in his last 2 starts as well versus Washington and Cincinnati. 3-0 in the last 3 starts are the Reds with Hunter Green on the mound. So they've definitely pitched well with him on the bump. Meanwhile, the Cubs, like I said, they're really playing good baseball. They're the better team. The price does feel very cheap to back the Chicago Cubs here in this game, given the fact that 30-20 versus a team that's 1 game below 500. So there's no question about it. It's definitely a cheap price for the Cubs, but I respect the hell out of Hunter Green. The Reds have won each of his last 3 starts, so I can't say I'm involved much with the side here in this game. I would probably lean a little bit to the Cubs just because I feel you're getting a discount with the better team, but I don't want to go up against Hunter Green. He's really pitched well. You can get swings and misses. He's been excellent in his last 2 starts, and he's actually pitched okay against the Cubs. I know last year when he faced them in his last start, he pitched pretty well. So we'll see how it goes here. So I ended up off the side. Total could go either way. Cubs aren't a team I'm looking to bet under. Their offense is raking right now. But Cincinnati is on a crazy under streak. How about 10 straight Reds games have gone under? So I'm kind of going back and forth with both side and total. So I ended up passing when it comes to this game with the Cubs and the Reds. All right, we move along. C-Mac, as you can see, will be here in just a moment. On we go to the Giants and the Nationals. We've got Raup and Gore, the pitching matchup here between these two teams. We've got pretty much even money here. Actually, the Nats are a slight favorite here in this game, and the total sitting at 7.5, shaded to the over here in this game. I lean to the Nats a little bit. I don't trust this Giants team to hit right now. They've not been in the best form at the plate. They've got to go up against, a pitcher that when he is in good form, Mackenzie Gore, he can be pretty tough, 3.7 ERA. He has pitched a little bit better here the last month or so. 4 of his last 5 starts, he's given up 3 runs or less. Washington's won 2 of his last 3 starts. Landon Raup for the Giants, not someone I'm fully on board with overall. And on the road, he's given up 7 runs in his last 10 innings, which isn't great. So I think the Nationals do have a little bit of an advantage here. Giants 500 on the road, Nats 500 at home. But I definitely think I do favor the Gore and the Nats here to find a way to get the job done in this game. So minus 115 on Washington. I think I like it enough there to take a small position with the Nats here in this one. All right, on we go to Toronto and Tampa Bay. We've got Eric Lauer. This guy's been around the block with a bunch of teams, and he's making a spot start here for the Jays tonight. Drew Rasmussen getting the nod for the Rays. Tampa minus 135, home favorites at Steinbrenner Field down there in Florida, and the total 9 pretty much across the board here in this one. Lauer is a pitcher that honestly actually he's pitched okay so far for the Blue Jays, but he's a journeyman pitcher that's been with so many teams I've lost count. Bullpen, he started on occasion, but mostly been a bullpen guy in his career. We'll see how he fares here in this one. He did, like I say, when he did get a spot start against Detroit the last time out, he did only give up 1 run in 3 innings against the Detroit Tigers. So he pitched pretty solid there in that one, but how will he fare here against the Rays is a big question, and a Rays team that is starting to hit the ball a little bit better. They went through this ice-cold run, but they did score 14 runs in the series against Houston, which is a good sign that maybe they're starting to get a little bit of their lineup going. Drew Rasmussen for the Rays has been very solid, very consistent through 4 straight starts where he's given up 3 runs or less. Doesn't give you a lot of length. That's the only problem, and the Rays bullpen's been pretty spotty. He only goes 5 innings. Most starts here, Drew Rasmussen. So that's the concern. But it is a good spot advantage, too, for the Rays. Rays had a day off yesterday. Blue Jays had to use a lot of their premium relievers and pulling one out in extra innings yesterday in the series finale against the San Diego Padres. So I think when you look at, obviously, the spot, Blue Jays travel, no day off. Tampa Bay stays at home with a day off. That's pretty significant that Tampa Bay's got, a big schedule advantage here. So probably that gives Tampa the edge, but I ain't rushing minus 135. I'd probably lean Tampa, but I was hoping for better than this price. All right, we got him in the house. The Miggity Mac Daddy, Connor Mack.
Nailed it.
I know. I did that with no stumbles, just perfect precision. Lyrical fire, as they say, with that.
Lyrical fire. I've seen it. You got to see Bavana live.
Give us some fire opinions and picks here, right. Blue Jays and Rays.
Well, yeah, Nick just put it in the chat. Rays don't hit lefties.
Yeah.
When is that kind of going to flip a little bit? I just don't love them at this price. We talked about the last time these 2 teams played. Maybe it was that just last week, I think it was, less than 10 days ago, that the Rays kind of own the Jays. I think they took 2 or 3 in that series, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yes. They didn't sweep them, did they? 2 or 3?
No,
yeah,
they did. It was 2 or 3. Yeah,
2 or 3. Yeah. So both these pitchers. So what do we get from Lauer? I mean, he's not going to even make it to 5. I don't think. You talked about Rasmussen. That's about it. So it's kind of battle of the pens a little bit in this game. Yeah, I kind of lean under. And I like the Rays here at home. I don't want to be laying 140 or so with this Rays team that can't really hit. I know they've kind of perked up a little bit, but no, it was a pass for me.
All right, Dodgers and Mets. We've got Clayton Kershaw taking on Griffin Canning here. Pretty much even money, minus 110, both sides, 8.5 the total in this game. If you would have said to me about a year ago, 2 years ago, that I'm backing Griffin Canning at minus 110 over Clayton Kershaw, I would have said, oh, you're fucking nuts. Not a chance. But I got to admit right now, Griffin Canning, and to his credit, this is a guy that's been Fade City for me the last couple of seasons. He's looked like a completely different pitcher, completely transformed here this year. He's been downright excellent for the most part. 2 runs or less in 5 straight starts. The Mets are a perfect 5-0 in his last 5 starts, 1.71 ERA. He's been dealing. He's been good, really good for the New York Mets. And you got to give him credit for that because he was a disaster most of the year with the LA Angels. Yeah. Last year, but he's turned things around. He's pitched better. Meanwhile, Clayton Kershaw, look, he made his return to the rotation May 17th against the Angels, and he struggled. 1 home run, 3 walks, 5 runs, 5 hits, only lasted 4 innings. To me, it's clear that the Clayton Kershaw needs a little bit of time, I think, to get in rhythm. And even if he does get in rhythm, we are talking about a guy that's had a lot of years in the big leagues, father time's knocking on the door. The days of Clayton Kershaw being the elite pitcher in baseball, they're a thing of the past. It's just, can you get enough from him? And I think it just might take him time. All things considered, this looks like a pretty cheap price. We're talking about a 17-5 Mets team here at Citi Field. They have played awesome baseball here at home. I'm on the Metropolitans here, minus 110 to get the job done. C-Mac, what do you think here, Dodgers, Mets?
I'm leading the Mets. I've been looking at Kershaw. All his starts kind of coming up before he got up were pretty good. He's on his last legs here.
Yeah.
Like even in the 5 innings, he was going 4 innings. He was striking out a couple, and he got shelled a little bit. An Angels team that's starting to hit. The Mets, though, even though Canning's been very good, they've been good at home. That's why I like them. Up against lefties, they've been decent, kind of middle of the pack. Can they hit him here? Because, when these teams have got together, everything lately, the Mets haven't scored any runs. So they finally got 5 that last game against Boston. But before that, 0, 1, 2, 3, 2, 0, 2. It goes on and on. 4. I guess you go back to their last 6 is the last time they scored 6 runs. So can they get to Kershaw? I think so. And then when these teams met, even last year in the postseason, regular season, these games went way over. There were 9s kind of earlier in the day. I thought it was a little high. It's dropped 8.5. So it's kind of conflicting with both. So I still lean the Mets. I can see how people think the Dodgers, this could be cheap price. Had the day off. It's not like they're just coming straight over to New York. So what we get from Kershaw, I think that's the big key here.
That is the big key, no doubt.
A few guys, too, Dodgers hit Canny, of course, when they've seen him with the Angels, has some decent numbers. Teoscar Hernandez, who went deep on Wednesday for me, and Mookie Betts. It's just not a whole lot of crazy numbers, but 3 for 7, 4 for 7, stuff like that.
All right, next up, we've got the Baltimore Orioles and Boston Red Sox. This is game 2 of a day-night doubleheader. We've got Trevor Rogers. It was supposed to be Morton, but it looks like it's going to be Trevor Rogers now for Baltimore, and Lucas Giolito here for Boston. Red Sox -125, home favorites, 9.5. I cashed a ticket easily with the over in the first game of that doubleheader. I think I might go back to it here. I don't trust Giolito. I don't really love either bullpen in this form either of these bullpens are in right now, quite honestly. Baltimore has started to get the bats swinging a little bit. There's no question, but God, their pitching still sucks. And I think Boston can probably do damage. But Giolito's not very good either. I don't fully trust Giolito. That's why I think Baltimore can probably score some runs here tonight as well. So I'm back on the over again with these two teams. C-Mac, what do you think?
How about that 8th inning? 13 runs. It's crazy. I think Devers hit a slam, right? I don't know. Maybe it was. I can't see. I just know he's got a ton of RBIs. I think he had 7 or 8 RBIs in the game. I don't blame you. Yeah, I'm not much on the doubleheader. So we talked about it a lot. Unless I find, maybe the first they've lost and there's some kind of angle. But for the most part, I stay off. But I don't blame you a little bit, liking the 9.5. But we'll see when we get in game 2 here.
All right, we got Cleveland and Detroit. Jackson Jobe for the Tigers, and we have Ciccone on the mound here for the Guardians. 8.5 the total in this one. I like Detroit, man. This is too cheap for their team this good at home, in my opinion. And I like Jackson Jobe. I've said that a bunch on this show. I like Jackson Jobe. I think he's got a lot of upside for this Tigers team. I don't get the love to back Cleveland here. I really don't. I know they won yesterday, big time, 7-0. They rocked the Tigers a little bit. Both Flaherty and the bullpen after that. But I think this is the guy, a guy that you kind of want on the mound in a bounce back spot. Other than one bad outing in Coors Field, and any young pitcher is going to struggle there. He's been pretty consistent. Tigers win when Jackson Jobe pitches, 5-0 in the last 5 starts. I'm just very surprised at all the love here for Cleveland with Slade Ciccone here, who's to me not that great. He's middling. He's last year he's got a bunch of starts. He didn't pitch all that great. He was up and down. 4.76 ERA for the season this year. Detroit in a bounce back. Price is cheap at home, where this team's played well all year. 17-6 here at Comerica Park, this Detroit team. So, yeah, it's dirt cheap to me. Give me the Tigers. C-Mac, what do you think?
Is it Ciccone or is it Cioni? Is it Cioni?
No, Ciccone.
Right?
Ciccone.
Is it Ciccone? Okay. Yeah. I thought it was Slade Cioni. This line's dropped a bunch. The Tigers, coming back home, it was flat. No runs yesterday. I thought they scored some runs. The offense kind of had been hitting the last couple of weeks. And then for this line to drop with a guy who's been lights out, just smells a little bit. Lights out, I guess I'd say that for his record. Some of these games he's 4-0, Joe. But when he's been on the bump, this 22-year-old, he's been good. And I'm sure you did. I backed him a bunch early. But this game, I had to stay off. I lean over in this game. Wind blowing out. I don't know what we get from these pitchers.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all.
Yeah.
I think Detroit will do most of the scoring, but Cleveland might be able to tack on.
And maybe it's good for Detroit after getting shut out, and kind of doing nothing yesterday and get some runs.
All right, Atlanta.
Real quick, there's no Green in the lineup. I just want to throw out. It's a little bit different lineup today.
That could be it too.
Keith, third.
Riley Green's a key batter. I think.
Yeah, just notice that
to get it done there.
Yeah.
Look at it. Let me just take a quick look at that. Torkelson's still in there. Gary Carpenter's still in there. Yeah, they've still got enough, I think. Those are the ones I'm definitely interested in. One of my favorite names, too, Dylan Dingler.
Dingler is right out. I know. He's trying to take him in spots.
Yep, no question. Yep.
He got hit yesterday where they didn't do anything. But I think that continued his hitting streak. I think he's on like a 7 or 8 game hitting streak.
Yeah, no question. San Diego, Atlanta, Pivetta and Sale, the pitching matchup here. Braves -190, home favorites, 8 the total. I mean, I'm not touching San Diego right now until A, I see them win, especially on the road, and B, until I start to see them swing the bats. Now, I guess you could say they did a little bit. Well, one guy did yesterday, Gavin Sheets. He really did most of their scoring against Toronto, and they still lost the game yesterday. So there's no way I'm taking San Diego. They're in a bad funk right now. That being said, it's just too big of a price now with Sale ballooned up to -190. I'm not interested now in Atlanta at this price. Maybe an under because San Diego's not hitting. You'd expect maybe Sale to be able to keep him in check. And meanwhile, Pivetta, he can be capable. He's had, certainly a better year than I expected so far for the San Diego Padres, 2.88 ERA. So maybe there's an under here. And it looks like as far as the movement here, 8, and I'm seeing some 7.5s now. There's some people that think this could be low scoring. C-Mac, what do you think?
I do. It's bumped though a little bit. Just kind of were 7.5s. 8s came out, and there was a lot of 7.5s. It's kind of moved up here in the last hour or so. It seems like just a tough spot. I mean, are the Padres going to break out? That's the thing here for Sale. I mean, the bats have just been ice cold. Tatis is like a homer. Machado 6 for 20 against I don't know. Maybe they break out, but I don't buy it. Braves score a bunch of runs yesterday, lose. I'm glad I had the Nats. That first 5, they hung on there. So I like the under 2 at 8. I'm worried though. Maybe they finally get going. I mean, it seems like after and it was all basically Sheets, so they got some runs, but it's like after like 7, 8 games, I think this team's a little bit too talented. They might score some runs. That's the only thing I'm worried a little about in this game.
All right, Texas Rangers, Chicago White Sox. We've got Tyler Mahle on the mound for the Rangers and Sean Burke here for the Chicago White Sox. Rangers -190, road favorites, 8 being the total here in this game. Sean Burke has actually been okay the last couple times we've seen him for Chicago at home in particular. He struggled to get against the Cubs at Wrigley, but that was a game where the wind was blowing out big time, and the Cubs are obviously just raking at the plate right now. So I kind of forgive Sean Burke for that bad start. But you look at how he's pitched here in Chicago at Comiskey, or Rate Field as they call it now. He shut out the Brewers in 6 innings in this park. He gave up just 1 run against Miami in this park. So there's been a couple of good starts here for Burke. Here at home, and Texas just cannot fucking hit right now. I mean, that was a pathetic offensive performance for them against the New York Yankees, and I was so pissed. I mean, I took a shot with Eovaldi. The guy pitches his heart out yesterday, and no fucking run support, and they lose 1-0 to the New York Yankees. So they just cannot hit right now. 5 runs in the last 3 games. So there's a chance Burke pitches okay here. Meanwhile, Mahle's been really good. 2 runs or less in 5 straight starts. You got to think he can keep this White Sox lineup subdued. They're a little bit hit or miss. Other than the 5 runs against Seattle in their last game, they had scored just a grand total of, I'm just counting it up here, 1, 2, 4, 7, 10, 11 runs in a 6-game span before that last game, the White Sox. So doesn't this feel like an under waiting to happen? And the total's 8. It's, you're getting at least, it's not 7. It's not 7.5. You're getting a full 8 with this game. Feels like an under. Dare these 2 lineups to hit. C-Mac, what do you think? Yeah,
weather's decent though here. I mean, it's nothing crazy. The wind's slightly blowing in. I'm on the under 8 in this game. Sometimes, I mean, if they go over, these teams smash today, it's going to happen. But I think Malik is going to go 5 or 6. And I think Burt could be – this Rangers team, I mean, every category, it's rough. And, I mean, I think they still have too good a lineup to be this bad. But and they probably should feel good, even though who they played a little bit. But to be basically 500, I mean, they're 1 game below. Is pretty good because they could finally get going. And what I really like was the White Sox team total. It's 3.5, the under there, but it's minus 145. I just, me, I'm not fucking doing 145s. That just, I don't do it. So yeah, I like the under 8. I think the White Sox first 5, a little bit of value. Rangers team until they start raking. I don't mind that small play on them first 5 here.
All right, next up, Royals and Twins. We've got Nick Cameron on the mound, lefty for the Kansas City Royals, no relation. Pablo Lopez for the Minnesota Twins. Twins here up to minus 190, home favorites, 7.5 the total in this one. Kansas City, pretty good series out west in San Francisco. They win 2 of 3. They finally got their bats going with the 8-4 win in the finale, and they did that against Logan Webb, almost a downright shocker. That in San Francisco, Kansas City gets their bats going against a guy that's been damn near unhittable in that park for years now, Logan Webb. But credit to them. They still got to show me a little bit more that their lineup is back on track, and they got to do it against Pablo Lopez, who's been excellent here in the last month. He's given up 2 runs or less in 4 of his last 5 starts. So he's been really, really strong, really sharp for the Twins, pitching like one of the better pitchers in that rotation that you'd expect. But don't sleep on Kansas City starter here. Noah Cameron, the lefty. 1 run allowed in 12.2 innings in the last 2 starts. Tell you, those Camerons, man, they just get the job done. And right now, Noah Cameron is getting the job done right now. 1 run in his first 12.2 innings as a starting pitcher here for the Kansas City Royals. So this feels like another under. Like, who do we trust to hit here? And 2 pitchers in pretty good form. So probably be under as well here for me as far as the total. Sidewise, I could only back Minnesota, a better team. They've got one of their best pitchers going, but I'm not taking them at minus 190. C-Mac, what do you think here? Royals Twins.
Yeah, the Royals, the numbers have been pretty good, road dogs in this price. And you mentioned it. Just under Kansas City, 14 of the last 20 road games. Twins last 5 have gone under. The last 8 between these two have met, all under. And that's why we have the 7.5. And all the money's on the under. It hasn't moved. I didn't think we'd see 7 with Lopez and Cameron, who's been decent. But, yeah, this is under here. And I think Kansas City, at this price, has a little bit of value, even though it's moved a little bit in the Twins' favor. They finally lost a few. I thought Twins played a little bit over their head. They got a few injuries. So, yeah, I just think that this price is a little bit too far.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to level off a little bit. That was a crazy 14-1 streak they had going.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they're going to start losing a few. They're going to have their little slide at some point and regression. Maybe that's starting to unfold right now as we speak. All right, next up, as we continue along, we've got Seattle and Houston. Emerson Hancock and Ryan Gusto here for the Houston Astros. We've got Houston minus 120 home favorites. The total here sitting at around 8.5, pretty much across the board, shaded to the over. Cashed an easy one with over the total with Astros and Mariners yesterday. I mentioned it on Jimmy the Bags show in the morning yesterday that I like that Seattle-Houston over. I did not trust George Kirby coming back from IL off the shoulder inflammation, and he struggled. And I thought Seattle could score a bit, although Houston did do most of the scoring. It still got over the total. I'm going right back to it here. I think it's another high-scoring game. I don't like Emerson Hancock. I don't think he's particularly good. I know he was better against his San Diego in his last start, but he's more hittable than not, in my opinion. And the Houston Astros are starting to get their bats going. They have scored 4 runs or more in 4 of their last 5 games. But I don't know if Ryan Gusto is someone I'm rushing to back. He got just crushed in his last start by a light-hitting Royals team. 7 runs in 2.1 innings. I think Seattle could be able to get a few knocks at the plate here against Gusto as well. So I like 8.5 over the total here. Seattle and Houston once again. C-Mac, what do you think?
This is a pass for me. I had the Astros yesterday at that big price, whenever they were plus 125 or so. Gusto's the big after that start, he goes back on the road where all 4 of his road starts, 0 ERA, 4 road starts. He's been great. So he's given it up a little bit at home. And other than the 7, the home starts were, he gave up 2 to Detroit, 1 to the Jays, 2 to San Diego, 3 to the Angels. So, I just had to pass here. I hope you get lots of runs. Over for you, Rover.
All right. I appreciate that. Need all the help I can get. All right.
You know
Arizona and St. Louis.
Don't we all? Shit.
Yeah, always. Yeah. Diamondbacks cards. We've got Diamondbacks -120 road favorites, 8 the total. We've got Zach Gallen versus Miles Michaelis. What the hell's happened to Miles Michaelis? He's drank the youth.
He's looking like 2018 Michaelis. Remember he went like 18-4 that year, I think, right? Yep. 18-3, 18-4. Yeah. It's turning back the clock.
Just on a heater right now. 4 straight wins with him on the mound. 4 runs allowed in his last, 21 innings. I got to believe there's going to be some bumps in the road coming here. That being said, I could only look at St. Louis at this price as a home dog with him on the mound. But I like the over more. I don't buy it. He's going to keep pitching like this, Michaelis. There's a rough game coming, and Arizona right now is an offense that is doing some decent damage here in the last 8 to 10 games. But I also think St. Louis can score because Gallen, boy, it's been a struggle here. 2 starts, 10 runs, 10.2 innings in his last 2 starts against the Dodgers and the Rockies. I don't know. The Rockies just laid waste to Gallen in his last start. Yeah. So I think Arizona can finally do a little bit of damage against Michaelis. I don't think he's shutting them out, but I think St. Louis gets to Gallen as well. So I like the over. Smaller bet, too, for me with St. Louis here as a home dog. C-Mac, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I was looking at this total. I'm like, man, I think there are going to be some runs in this game. Yep. There's popped up a couple 8.5s because Michaelis, you just think he's got to get. And I wanted to see the lineup a little bit. Got a lot of lefties in there, and Suarez has crazy numbers. One of the only righties in this lineup. Was he 6 for 17 with 2 homers off Michaelis? So I like that because I think he's almost still with how well he's pitched. His average is almost 300 versus lefties. Is Michaelis. Gallen, what is something wrong with him? Because as much as the Cardinals have played well at home,
the IL soon. I think there's something.
That's what I worry about. Yep. So if we don't see a bounce back here after those last 2 starts, there's a problem. But I still thought there was value with the D-backs. First 5, it's +120, and there's a little bit disparity from that from the full game, +125. So I took a piece of them here, first 5. It's Gallen. I'm a little bit. We always knew that on the road, but those last 2 starts were at home.
Yep.
Man, he was not well, and what's went up for him is the walks.
Yeah,
like that's just the command has not been pinpoint at all. For him.
No, that's true. He's just
see
lost
what he can do here.
C-Mac so many times in the course of his starts. It's really concerning. So, like I said, not what you want to see. That is for sure for him. All right, Yankees and Rockies. We've got the Yankees -300 road favorites, 11.5 the total here at Coors Field. Clark Schmidt and Tanner Gordon, the pitching matchup here. Tanner Gordon, by the way, has been now with Colorado for 2 seasons. Combined ERA of 7.16 in the 2 seasons. So that tells you all you need to know about him. Not someone to trust here in this spot. I don't know if I trust Clark Schmidt, though, here at Coors. He's been a little bit better lately, no question, but he continues to be plagued by home runs. He's given up 5 home runs in his last 5 starts. Home runs have been a bit of an issue for him. On the road at times has been a little bit of an issue for him. I think the Rockies can do a little bit of damage here. So I like over 11.5. I think Yankees, Gordon's numbers are atrocious. So I think the Yankees can score. But at the same point in time, Schmidt on the road's been susceptible. He's been giving up homers, and it's a bad combo, homers and road struggles when you're pitching at Coors Field. So I like another over with Colorado. Shocker. Over 11.5 here. The Yankee team total I wanted too, but 7.5 now. It's getting to the point where it's getting up there.
That might be a little bit, but I think they might get there. Gordon is awful. He's just. I'm surprised they've even brought him back up. He's gotten shelled in AAA too. And we talk about that there are runs given up, but still, Salt Lake, all these places, Vegas, Reno, that the long ball's big. But I mean, he hasn't been very good this whole way up the last 5 years. So yeah, it's all can the Rockies. We'll see. I think, we've seen a little bit the hitting, not much. They're still fucking losing, and they just got fucking shut out. Let's get that yesterday, 2-0. But they could put up some runs today. So I agree with you here. Over.
Yeah, I agree. Over as well. Marlins and Angels. We've got Sandy Alcantara for the Marlins. Yusei Kikuchi for the Angels. Angels -160, home favorites, 8.5 the total. Shocked to say this, but I'll say it now. The team that I've bet on the most and made the most money with the last week or 10 days, the LA Angels. Crazy
Congrats.
as it is.
Yeah,
I've been riding this streak, man. 7 in a row. And most of them all of them is dogs. They were dogs in every game against the Dodgers, swept that series. They were dogs in every game against the Athletics, which was hard to believe because of the way the A's are playing right now. And I was on the Angels again yesterday. I mentioned that on Jimmy's show. Angels and over yesterday against the A's, and they were down early, but then the bats came alive, and that horrible bullpen for the A's chipped in as well. And they came back and they won 10-5, back-to-back 10-5 wins.
You know what's been good? The bullpen's hung in there at least. It's still the worst in baseball, but they the runs have been there and the bullpen's hung on. Yeah, for the Angels.
This Taylor Ward, man, get the fire hydrant out, put him out.
And O'Hoppe, I was just saying, it's raked again. Yeah, yesterday. Crazy.
So here's the problem. I don't want to step in front of the Angels. They're on a great run, but now it's a different kettle of fish here. Now they're -160 favorites, and they're coming off back-to-back road sweeps, and now home against the Marlins. You know how that shit works sometimes. This is the flat spot. This is the, dead spot, coming off back-to-back road sweeps against the Dodgers and the A's. Not to mention, I don't trust Kikuchi, who's been kind of all over the map so far this season for the LA Angels. But he was good in his last start, but he was terrible to start before that. And then he did have a couple of good starts before that, and then he was terrible before that. So you're not always sure what you're going to get from Kikuchi. The one thing I'll say is, and if you like the Angels, that helps you out. Alcantara's a disaster. That's what helps you out right now. 0-5 in his last 5 starts, an 8.51 ERA for Alcantara in those last 5 starts. It's been dreadful, and it's hard, almost impossible to back him. But this spot, and it also feels like it's impossible to not back the Angels right now because they're on a 7-game win streak. But this spot stinks. It just feels like a flat spot and a dead spot in the pit of my stomach for the Angels, and I hate the price, -160, and I have no interest at this price. Why would I take the Angels again today when I've been taking them at big dog prices? Now I got to lay -160? No, not for me. Not interested. Maybe an over, because Alcantara's been that bad and the Angels are swinging and neither bullpen's great. Maybe it can go over the total. Over would be what I'd look at rather than a side. C-Mac, what do you think?
Well, that's what I think in this game. It's like, why is this 8.5? We've even it's gone down to 8s. Like, it seems like the flat spot. Oh, but like Alcantara just has been dog shit. And to watch his starts, like, you see a glimpse of it in some of his pitches at times, but it's just everything's over the plate and he's getting shelled. Like, this seems like everyone's on the over here. It's a little shocking.
I wouldn't mind the Angels or Marlins first 5, but again, Alcantara's just can't get to
if
him.
You've took that with him, where it used to be money, you've just been draining. But Kikuchi, though, has been really good at home. What was his ERA here at home? It's been excellent.
That's true.
I think it's
Most
one
of his
something.
worst starts have been on the road. You are right about that.
For a guy that doesn't have a win, I mean, that just shows how bad at times the Angels, when they haven't been hitting, or bad, the bullpen gives it up. So, but Ward, O'Hoppe, Neto, these guys are raking. Moncada's even been swinging a hot bat. Look at those guys tonight.
All right, final game now. Next up of this Friday slate, we got the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Athletics. We got Zach Wheeler in the sky, keeps on turning. Zach Wheeler for the Philadelphia Phillies. And we've got, we got a change here. It was supposed to be, well, that changes everything.
Yeah, there's still nobody, right?
It was supposed to be Jeffrey Springs here for the A's, who's been really pitching well lately. And now it's Jorge Lopez. He's making a spot start from the pen here for the Athletics. Phillies -200, road favorites, 9.5 the total. Well, that sucks. thought it was going to be Jeffrey Springs here, who's actually been pitching solid here for the A's of late. But no, not Jorge Lopez. Sorry, Jacob Lopez here for the A's getting the start. Although he's got decent numbers, he has made one start, 4 appearances, 3.86 ERA for him. That's not bad. Look, Zach Wheeler's been great. There's no doubt. He's given up 2 runs or less in 5 straight starts, a 1.65 ERA. But I kind of looked at this spot as maybe a nice little fade spot for the Phillies because they're coming off leaving Colorado, 4 straight, leaving Denver, no day off, and often teams are flat coming off Denver and Colorado on the road with no day off. And that's why I said if Jeffrey Springs was going to be on the mound, I'm like, I'm interested in the A's, at least first 5, at plus money. But with Jacob Lopez, I don't think I like it nearly as much, but I'd be leery of taking the Phillies for some reason tonight. I think this spot's a little dubious coming off the 4 games in Denver and the thin air and the altitude. Teams have struggled at times in that situation. So I don't know. I don't hate a flyer on the A's tonight, +1, but I would at least split it up, if not just take first 5, because that Athletics bullpen is pretty rough right now. And we saw it again yesterday, that it is a bad bullpen. C-Mac, what do you think here? Phillies, A's.
Yeah, Lopez, this guy, read about him a lot here in Vegas. At times he's got a live arm and, strikes out 10 plus. But I don't think he goes much more than one time through the order, 2 or 3 innings is it. This is the flat spot. But this is the A's. Do you want to take them after losing 9 straight? It's like, I mean, they've just been dog shit. They just can't win baseball games all of a sudden. We've seen this. It's maybe just stay off like with the Nats. And then now they've gotten hot.
There's so many games they've been leading, and then it's been bad. Latter innings.
Yeah, and the other day they didn't score enough runs. Like even when I had that team total, they got 5. They couldn't get any runs in the last 3 innings. You just couldn't get tack one more on there. A lot of solo homers. So yeah, this is the flat spot though. I mean, Wheeler's been excellent, 5-1, 2.6 ERA. But yeah, I'd be leery of this big price. But maybe the A's have just been that bad in their pitching that at this ballpark, we still get, over and runs. But, yeah, definitely the flat spot. Yeah.
No doubt.
Coors fade, they say.
The Coors fade. He's coming off the Denver series, exactly, at Colorado. So that's what concerns me about the Phillies here. 9.91. That is the ERA for the Athletics bullpen in the last 10 games. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's about as bad as it gets. Wow. Yeah,
can't even get to Miller.
5, but that is it. If I do end up taking anything with the A's there. All right, there we have it. Anything for Jack of the Day tonight, C-Mac?
I had a few. I think Teoscar Hernandez, I'll throw that out there, just win on Wednesday, 4 for 9 with a homer on Canning. Look for him. Who I missed? I think it was Tuesday. He came right back the last 2 days and hit home runs. It was Kyle Tucker. After he was in a bit of a slump. I was kind of waiting for that.
You Mother Tucker. I know, exactly.
Yeah, I know. Mother Tucker. I was like, God damn, you son of a bitch. Suzuki had some pretty good numbers for the Cubs. I thought that might be against Hunter Green, who's basically he went on the IL, right? He's been out for the last start or 2, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, for his growing. We know how he can be. Cubs, he's had some phenomenal starts in the last 3 or 4 years with the Cubs. He's gotten hit a little bit. So Suzuki, 6 for 13 with a couple homers. The Ribby was plus 175, and I think the homer is plus 425 or plus 430. So Suzuki there.
Yeah, I like it. I like Chris Morrell for Tampa. He matches up okay with Lauer.
I like Diaz. The price is tough.
Yeah.
I love him against lefties, and he had some good numbers. But, man, they know how to price him there against lefties, Andy Diaz. Yeah. And he's a leadoff guy. You have to look at total bases maybe, and that's always minus 120. So I've been priced out a little bit, but man, on Andy Diaz first lefties shit over the years.
I certainly wouldn't talk anyone out of Taylor Ward or O'Hoppe for the Angels. I mean, absolutely outstanding, no doubt. I like Nolan Gorman for St. Louis. 1 homer and 6 plate appearances against Gallen. So Nolan Gorman, Newt Barr, believe it or not, is homered off Gallen. And Gallen's in awful form right now, so don't be scared to take a look at a couple of those Cardinals players as far as a home run prop tonight. So those are a couple that stand out there for me here tonight on the slate as far as Jack of the Day is concerned. I'll say this too: Pittsburgh. He's starting to heat up at the plate, and he's gotten a homer against Peralta in the past, Brian Reynolds, and you're getting a nice price on him.
Yeah, he had decent numbers.
Yeah. So, and he does have a homer against Peralta in the past. So, someone to keep an eye on. You're getting almost plus 900 with him. That's why I think it might be worth, a couple of bucks. All right, let's wrap it up with best bets. CMAC, best bet for Friday night MLB. What do you got?
Yeah, it's going on. I was going to roll back with the Nats, but we're going here. Rangers, White Sox, under 8. Going under until I see runs under.
There you go.
Rangers,
under
Sox.
For CMAC for best bet here for this Friday MLB slate. My best bet, I'm going, I'm totals heavy usually with best bet, but I think I'm going to go with a side here for it because there's some good side. This is actually a better card in my opinion as far as sides are concerned on this Friday slate. And I think tonight I'm going to end up going with, I'm trying to see here what we got here. I'm going to go with Mets. I think the Mets are just cheap at home, and I like the way Canning's pitching. Kershaw, I got to see a little bit more, but I think the Mets get it done tonight. Like the price, we're talking minus 112, minus 110 is the best price out there right now with the New York Mets. I think they get it done against the Dodgers. So Mets minus 110 for my best bet here for this Friday. Shout out to everyone in the chat: Red Beard, Old E, Nick Alvento, Gerald Jones, Ross Pitts, Justin McKelvey, Lucas R, Jorge Herrera. We appreciate all of you joining us. Sniper Wes, everyone joining us. Daniel Abuna, we appreciate it. Hit the like button.
Man.
Good stuff.
What up?
Just a programming alert. We will not be on Monday next week. It's Memorial Day, and most of the games are early afternoon on Monday for the holiday. So we'll not have a show on Mondays. We will only be doing 3 days next week: Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday on the MLB Hitting the Book show. So again, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday next week, 3 days for the MLB Hitting the Book show. But we'll still be here with you. We hope you all have a great Memorial Day holiday weekend south of the border. Enjoy it. Get all that barbecue in your system and fireworks and all that good stuff that goes with the holiday, swimming, you name it. Good stuff. Hit the like button on the way out. For Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night and a great Memorial Day weekend. Enjoy the games and good luck, and we will be back with you on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific for another edition of the MLB Hitting the Book show. Until then, class dismissed.
Peace.